Okay, this next video lecture is still the continuation of our module 2. Okay, so we are now in file structures. So file structures, these are the common method or approach or model that the entity can use on how they are going to store their data and how the users can access it whenever they need it for decision making, okay, and other purposes. So in the file structures, there are two main models that the entity can use. So we have the flat file model and the other one is the database model. When we say flat file model, so this is considered to be the conventional or traditional type of model in which in this type of file structure, okay, if we will look into this illustration, the data are stored, okay, in separate location, okay, and then normally under the flat file model, there is no data integration, okay, and whenever a department or a user needs the information or the data, so it will be created for them specifically, okay. So the problem with the flat file model now, okay, with this type of structure is that there will be data redundancy because the data cannot be accessed by anyone. So they can only access it if they will request, okay, to have it for their use, okay, or need. And therefore, data or information in the flat file model seems to be complicated. And at the same time, if there are updates, okay, so the update should be implemented, or it should be updated with those entity or user which has the need for the data. So meaning updating here is not automatic, okay, because it should be given or taken to the different users, okay. So that's why in some instances, if updating will not be made for all the users of this information, then they might rely on an updated they might rely in an information that is not recent, okay. So that is for the flat file model. So here another is the storage also, because since there is redundancy, okay, in the creation of the data for each user, so I think it would use a larger portion of the storage space, okay, of the entity, okay. So those are the characteristics of a flat file model. So to understand better, we have here the illustration on how flat file model is used, okay. So here, for example, we have the user, okay. Our user here is we have the marketing and accounting. So in this case, they have the different needs, okay. So for example, here the accounting department, they would want to know about the information related to the billing or accounts receivable system, okay. So in this case, what they need is what the data that they need is the customer data file, okay. So which contains the current assets account, as well as the sales invoice and cash receipts. So these are the data sets that the accounting department needs, okay, in the billing or accounts receivable system. Okay, and for the marketing department, what their objective is for product promotion. Okay, so in this case, their data needs are also customer data, but this will be used, or the data that they need is historical or demographic orientation of the customers, as well as the sales invoice. So if you could notice, um, there seems to be the same sets of data where the accounting and marketing department needs. However, in this case, they have different objectives in using this same data sets. So with this flat file model, the data will be created for the accounting department specific use, and also they will create another data, okay, that will be given for the marketing for their specific use also. So in this case, this is what we mean by data redundancy, okay, because they will create two different sets of data, okay, of the same data for the different user for their different or specific needs. This type of model actually is an advantage because we can cater the specific needs of the department. However, there is a problem with the storage because of this data redundancy and updating as well. For example, if in the master files there is updating, or there is update in the customer's data, so they need also to update the data that they provided to the accounting department and marketing department, okay, because information here is not integrated. Okay, so that is the problem with the flat file model. So for example, if they updated in the master file their customers data, and they forgot to update it in the accounting department, so the accounting department will have an outdated data. Okay, so this is the problem with the flat file model. Okay, what about for the database model? So basically, database model, this is the opposite of our flat file model. So here, the access, okay, of the information will be allowed for the different users. So in this case, using this illustration, we have here, for example, we have the users. Okay, so we have the accounting and marketing department, as well as the product services department. So in this case, there is a database system where all the data and information are stored. So all the information related to the customer, sales, invoice, cash receipts, product service schedule, and other entity data are stored in this database. Okay, so the user here, before they can access, okay, the data that they need, so first they have to ask for a request or permission to access, so that only the data that they need, those will be only available for access. So meaning they cannot access the other items which are not related to their responsibility or request or department. Okay, so this is how database model works. And it will not create any data redundancy because the accounting department will access the data in the database. So what they need will be taken from the database. And once the database information is updated, so what the accounting department will get is also an updated data. Okay, so this is how database model is. Okay, unlike with the flat file model. So here, we have, for example, the accounting department, so they need the customer sales for the current accounts receivable. So they have to go through the DBMS. Okay, so this is the one who controls the access. Okay, so it integrates also the software. okay, for the database, for the shared database. So here, the accounting department will request or ask for the access of the data that they need, okay, so that they can access it from the shared database. And the same also with marketing. So they will need also the customer sales, okay, for historical and demographic orientation. So again, they will ask for the access, okay, for those data, and then they will get it from the database. The same also with the product services, okay, whatever data they need in relation to their objectives of using those data. Okay, so here there is no data redundancy because all of the users can access from one database. Okay, so these are the two file structures that the entity can use in creating their file structure model, okay, on how they store their data or information and how the users can access it. Okay, so we have the flat file model, which is the conventional model, and the database model, which has integrating, which is, has the integration of information where all the users can access the data anytime they need it.